Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Details Missed or Small Things series that we are doing currently on Hogwarts Legacy. And yeah, the first one did really well enough. It seems like people have taken a particular interest in this, so I did want to continue it as well because it's fun to find all these lovely little small things and Easter eggs and all that. It's fun to show it to you guys. Maybe you guys also picked up other ones, and yeah, in that way we can share a lot of the cool stuff we found, and just in that way show our appreciation to all the hard work of the devs. But yeah, today's one, as you can tell, is the library. Now, the library as a location, especially in the Harry Potter world and all that, has always kind of been a secondary location, but nonetheless a very significant one, especially with a lot of how it's moving the story forward. So, for example, in the Goblet of Fire, it was a huge kind of shift in the narrative or moving the story forward when it came to the tasks for the Triwizard Tournament. It also allowed Victor Krum and Hermione Granger to have a relationship, which in turn fueled Ron and Hermione's relationship going forward. We have a bunch of other ones. I think they had to get the Polyjuice Potion from the library again, which obviously is a big one in the Chamber of Secrets. There was also, I think someone was poisoned in the Quidditch thing over there, or sabotaged. And of course, the very famous scene of Harry sneaking through the restricted section to learn more about Nicholas Flamel in the Philosopher's Stone. So, all in all, a pretty significant location, which is more just kind of just for moving the plot forward and keeping the plot going. But yeah, the counterpart in Hogwarts Legacy has just as much details and cool little things in it. So, without further ado, let's jump right into some that we found. First kind of detail we walk around is when you go to the front of the library, you can see it's there, beautiful little kind of presentation of these massive wooden arches and stuff with the two doors leading into it. And you'll notice there's a lot of Latin actually inscribed on the library. Chief and center is the Draco Dormiens Nunquam Titilandus, which is actually the motto or slogan of Hogwarts, and it means "Don't tickle a sleeping dragon." Okay then. Some more Latin inscriptions that are on the front of the library and also throughout the library itself are Docendo Decimus, which is we learn by teaching. There is also Doctrina Perpetua, which means lifelong learning. Scientia Sic Potentia, which means knowledge is power. And lastly, Per Angusta ad Augusta, which loosely translates to rising through hardships to become at the top of a position. So it's a little bit more generic, more school-like mottos over there. I'm not sure if this is on the actual library of Hogwarts, but I know this might be a little bit of a jib around J.K. Rowling's interview, specifically about the school motto, where she mentioned that a lot of schools normally have these kind of just generic mottos about perseverance, determination, all that, and she wanted to give a little bit of practical advice for her ones, hence why it's talking about tickling a sleeping dragon. The other thing you might notice actually is that sleeping dragon right above the motto is actually moving. You'll notice him exhale some smoke now and then a little bit as he kind of breathes in and out while sleeping. And I tried casting a spell on him or something to see if he'd react, but looks like this one doesn't mind tickling a little bit. Right outside the library, just across from it, there's also this painting of a guy playing a lute, and that's the only one I've found in the whole of Hogwarts. Some paintings do kind of are duplicates, but this one seems unique. I couldn't really recognize the song from anywhere, but I'll let you guys have a listen, and then maybe you guys can tell me. Now we finally enter the library, and you'll notice on the library around the corners and stuff, there's usually these sections dedicated to some sort of discipline or teaching, like astronomy and astrology that's pictured here, which is... but it is canon to the whole Hogwarts thing, because in the Daily Prophet you read about horoscopes and everything, and there's the divination, as well as some pupils believing in the whole horoscope thing. There's also the alchemy section, which has this really interesting blackboard that starts to write its own brewing technique and stuff. But the handwriting is so horrible, all I can see is brewing technique and mortar and paste. And I think the painting next to it agrees with me on that, because just look at the disgust on her face when she's trying to read it. Look at her squinting. I'm not sure if that was on purpose or not, but that is absolutely hilarious. If you do want to be a right old nuisance and disrupt the studies of some of your fellow students, you can also climb on the table and start to walk over the space where they normally have their book. And they have this interesting interaction where they try to put the book back down to read, and they can't because you're standing there. I just found it funny to be such a menace, especially when you're in Slytherin. If you do think also of loaning a book in the library, you can see also here that there's an automatic system that's currently issuing the, I guess, tickets or things to, or stamps for you to take out your library book, as you can see here. Quite interesting just to see. I'm not sure if that is like an international order or something that's just going away or apparating, but I do find it interesting to look at. When you visit the library at night, well, you also will see a lot of ghosts come out to play, including this one right behind the fireplace. You're having a sword fight between two kind of sirs or knights, and it looks like they are quite old chums that kind of spar often or something, but you'll see that one of them is victorious in the end, and then they kind of just run around still and chase each other and all that. And right after this one, actually, you'll also notice that there's a dancing couple that's kind of just doing a sort of, I don't know, it's not a waltz or something. I don't know if it's some sort of medieval dance or something, because I'm not really an expert in all this, but it seems like they are quite choreographed with each other, and they do kind of have this kind of polite, like, kind of curtsy and stuff, and then they disappear into the floor. Now, that same couple, because it does look like a couple, has an interesting interaction or dialogue near the Dark Arts Tower.
What have you done? Yes, I said forever, but this wasn't what I meant at all. Well, are you happy now?
Please wait!
In the quest Secrets of the Restricted section, you'll pick up a dialogue that basically says you need to go talk to Sebastian Sallow, as he's been able to sneak around in there without getting caught. And you'll notice this is also mentioned in a note to Professor Black, made by Madam Scribner, that details a student sneaking around there where they shouldn't be, as well as complaining about the kind of charms that Cressida is mistakenly making, causing her books to fly all over the place. While you're in this quest, you'll notice an interesting little chat you have with Sebastian right before that explains how to use the disillusionment charm, which says that it can make you almost as invisible as a cloak.
Cast it and you'll appear as little more than a trick of the light, just as long as you keep your distance and stay quiet.
You mean I'll actually be able to turn invisible?
Something like that. It's not as foolproof as a cloak, but those are expensive.
Which is a nod obviously to the kind of gift that Harry got, but also just a nod to how he was sneaking around in the restricted section in his first year using the invisibility cloak. While you are sneaking around in the restricted section during this quest, you also notice, I just wanted to mention this, you also notice you're casting spells in a much more hushed tone.
Revelio. Lumos. Revelio.
There's also this cool hand peering out of a box, which I found interesting because just listen how well the sound design is made on him tapping his fingers against the wood. Also, these books that are obviously locked up, that are jumping around, telling them you should read them, which Sebastian describes as books full of complete rabble and all that. But you'll notice there's one particular book that's especially angry at me. Yeah, what a rude welcome you are giving me here. One final thing I also just wanted to quickly mention is, if you were concerned about possibly missing a chest or not picking up some extra stuff while you were in the restricted section because you were dodging the ghosts and stuff, once the mission ends, you can immediately re-enter the restricted section without any ghosts, any patrols, or even Peeves around there. You can watch how I'm just freely running and walking around, and you can just pick up the loot that you believe you have left behind. But that's pretty much all I have for you today. Some quickfire ones mostly, as the library is kind of just full of interesting references and more smaller details that's not as significant, I think, to a quest or a story really, but it's still interesting to pick up if you have your eyes peeled. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this one once again. It's really fun to just go through each location and try and see all the little secrets they've hidden and see if we can uncover all of them. So yeah, I really enjoy this kind of investigative work. Let me know as well if you guys have found anything in the library or if there's something interesting you guys want to point out, perhaps. But yeah, I genuinely hope you guys have a wonderful rest of the time. I hope you guys are also just enjoying the weekend and everything. And I'll see you back in Hogwarts.